Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Assassin while I choke on coffee grounds. Welcome back to Assassin. So we're down on the docks. You've spent better part of a day in a tavern arguing about dragons with a person. And what are you up to now?
Eventually, I'll wander outside with a mug of ale. I'm gonna kind of mess up my hair a little bit, become a bit more disheveled, and I is conveniently just a short distance away. Am gonna go sit dejectedly on the docks, sort of there behind the guard area.
Right over there?
Yep, sitting there, my feet hanging off the right there on the edge. I'll try to get there before lunch.
Quick look at the what's going on around you. So as you walk through this area, I think to even get back here, you have to like walk through this building.
Oh,
Yeah, or you'll have to walk through the guard building itself. This
okay.
one, yes, maybe this area is not so accessible. This building here that I'm pointing at is where it's Captain Grace's apartment and offices and everything. So this would be the place where the captain of the guard lives and works. These are the rooms for the regular guardsmen. This is the Morning Glory tea shop over here, which is attached to the guards' rooms and also to this little out section. Over here, what is this stuff? Let me check my notes. That is... I think this is just like warehouse storage of various kinds. So you might be able to slip through here and come out onto this dock, or go through the tea shop and come out over here. I suppose you could try and walk through the captain of the harbor guard's house, but it might be problematic.
Okay, yeah, I guess I just sort of assumed you could go between these buildings, but I guess there's actually a space there.
Yeah, there's a little gap. I guess you could try and run and jump over that. It's not that far. It's 8 feet. As long as you've got at least 8 strength, you can... At least 9 strength, you can jump it.
I think there's even isn't it like 3+ strength or something?
I think it's your strength score in feet, if you have a running start.
All right, well, that's a little too obvious for someone just randomly carrying around a mug and trying to collapse. So,
What is this, the Drinking Parkour Olympics?
I'd watch that.
That would be a really fun sport to watch. Someone's got a mug of beer, and they have to like run to the end of some sort of course, jumping over all sorts of things, and then when they get to it, they have to down it as quickly as possible without spilling any.
Why isn't that an event?
That sounds like a great sport.
I bet Germany would be really good at it.
If it was wine, the French would be the best. They have the best parkourists out there. You could have you could have different events. You could have like, a little shot glass for one, a big tankard for another, like a glass of wine for another one.
That would make the selection of which city's going to host the Olympics a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because certain cities would have different size glasses and different drinks that they put in, or maybe there's like
I was
multiple
just thinking
stops.
of the terrain where they'd be throughout the city.
Oh yeah. And maybe there's like pit stop, like it's not quite like a relay race, but there's various pit stops where you get to this point, they measure how much you have left, and you have to drink it, and then you go to the next, to the next, to the next. So the less that you spill, the more you have to drink, which makes it harder to go forward, but then you get more points, and the people who kind of spill might be able to make up their points by being more sober for the rest of the run. God, this should be a real sport.
This would be. Can you imagine like how cool watching the last part of the course would be? When like half the people, when like all the best athletes are just completely blitzed, and the worst ones that aren't as blitzed are trying to leverage that ability to get back up. That'd be a nail biter.
This would be fantastic. All right.
You know, I think I'm just thinking, Neal, if this doesn't work out, dear parkour league, you, me, we kickstart this thing.
Yeah, definitely. We'll make it happen.
And we could kickstart it by actually kickstarting it.
We could literally Kickstarter it, and it'd be great.
Tell me people aren't going to want to kickstart
Drunken Parkour?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
That'd be like one of those where we'd be on the news, because that would be like the one that like reached $5 million in one day.
Yeah.
Which would only, get us more donations.
It would be great, and I think it would be very quickly picked up by any sort of syndication or broadcasting. I think there's some real money to be had in here, guys.
Yeah, but I mean, only if this doesn't work out.
Right, only if the D&D stuff doesn't pan out.
I mean, this could easily just like skyrocket and go way past any of that.
If any of you want to start the I don't have a name for this thing yet, but if any of you want to start this league, go for it. Just give us producer credit on it, and
10%,
10%
each.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Merchandising. We get merchandising also.
10% of merchandising, of tickets, just everything. You just 10% off the top, pre-tax. Anyway, let's try and get something done today.
I would argue that we have. We just invented the most popular new sport in the world.
Yeah. Anyway. Sorry, I'm getting lost thinking about this. You want to find a spot?
I kind of feel like you want to compete now, Neal.
I don't like drinking that much, but I do love running around and jumping over things. I could compete in the amateur league. I could do that. Or the, after work league.
But that's like you're doing it with Coors Light or something.
Oh. All right. Let's try and get back to D&D.
What was this show called again?
I swear this is supposed to be a bloodthirsty show about assassinating people. Right. So where are we? We're down by the docks. You find a spot. Where are you? All right. So you can't get to that.
Yeah. Apparently, none of the places where I was just going to randomly be sitting to see this guy are really reachable.
Well, just one of the places isn't.
Yeah.
You could make it over here, no problem, and you can make it
Can
down
I
here.
over there? So I'd have to go through the buildings.
Yeah, you'd have to go through the buildings. I might draw a little attention if someone who knows who owns that building sees you there, but dock's a dock, a wharf's a wharf. Wharf rats are everywhere. People hang out wherever they can.
How about over here? Is it fairly easy to step from where the rocks go down onto the dock?
I didn't see. Oh.
Is that a believable path for a drunk person?
Well, I mean, there's like a 3-foot gap. It's not believable. Yeah, you can make your way over there somehow.
All right, I'll go sit on the end of that dock then. Feet dangling off.
Excellent.
Sing my mug.
All right, so you have found your way down there.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Although, that sounds like a good start for the drunken parkour.
Can you jump the 3-foot gap from the cliff to the dock while
Without
holding it?
spilling your beer, yeah.
Yeah. You want to give me a dex check to see how much of your beer you spilled?
You know, this guy would actually be pretty good at drunken parkour.
Give me maybe an athletics or an acrobatics instead of a dexterity, because that's not quite actually the right combo. Oh, Rob. I think
spilled it all over myself.
Everywhere.
Oh no, that does not enhance the look I was going for at all. How is he going to believe that I'm a drunken down on my luck sailor with beer spilled all over the front of me?
Even when he fails, it benefits his character. All right. So you're down on that section. Let's bring your little token over here. And you've got maybe a third of a beer left while you're sitting out the dock. And sure enough, lunchtime eventually rolls around, and a certain cleric kind of shows up. Let's get him all the right layers and everything. Shows up over here, walks on down, heads to the tea shop, comes on out over here and sits down on his favorite stool with his tea, and then kind of frowns and grumbles to himself, looks over to you and says, "Is that your boat?" Says, pointing to the one at his feet.
Do I look like I own a boat?
Stupid. You know, I thought this dock was... whatever. Praise be a stare for having everyone in their proper place, even if this one boat is docked improperly. I'll find them later.
Docked improperly?
No one's supposed to be docking their boats here. This is the tea shop place.
Then why does it have a dock?
To sit on and get in the salty, freshwater, brackish air.
That would be a balcony. A dock is to tie a boat to.
Not every section of the dock is meant for boats.
I think that's kind of the definition of a dock. It's meant for boats.
But only some sections in the proper place where it has been authorized for people to tie their boats. If people can just tie them up anywhere, how are we going to inspect them all? In fact, I should probably take care of this right now. This could be another smuggling attempt. He looks at his tea, kind of tosses it in the water, grumbles to himself, and heads back into the tea shop.
So what you're imagining is that somebody here is smuggling in tea.
Gives a look over his shoulder at you and says, "Nothing," and then goes back into the tavern, to the tea shop.
I'll call over. Why don't you protest this? Why don't you just go onto that boat, just go on and take all the tea and just throw it into the harbor. Just throw it into the harbor. It seems like a fine day for it. Just take all that tea and throw it into the harbor.
You can hear some talking from inside, and eventually Reginald comes out with a and a guy, just a regular old sailor person, kind of dirty clothes, doesn't look like he's particularly wealthy. And Reginald's out here looking at the boat and pointing at it with him and saying, "Look, you can't just park your boat here. I got to inspect everything on it now. I'm, as the cleric of a stare here to make sure that nothing illegal's going on. I'm going to have to take a look at your wares, anything that you've delivered to the tea shop, and then I'm going to have to fine you 10 silver pieces for improper docking. It's procedure that keeps us safe, my friend." And so the two of them go through everything on his boat, opening every bag, emptying it out, and putting it back in. And then fines the guy 10 silver for parking his boat in the wrong spot. And then
100 copper?
Hey, without a clear set of rules, we all fall into chaos. And the rules say no boats get parked right here.
The rules say you can't dock at the dock.
What'd you say your name was?
My name's Alexander. Alex.
Well, Alexander, I happen to be an authority on right and wrong, and let me tell you that yes, in this particular case, you cannot dock that boat on this dock. The gods will as such.
Well, Mr. Staircase, I am a sailor and happen to be an authority on boats and docks. And I tell you that docks are for boats, docking, and
Are you drunk?
Fishing.
It's,
and docks are for drinking too.
it's barely noon. How are you drunk already?
It's really easy with beer.
Tries to slow down his breathing. He closes his eyes, and you can see his lips moving as if he's speaking to himself. Then he opens them and picks up some cucumber sandwiches and a little cup of tea. Sips his tea. Tries to ignore you. Look out over the ocean. See the big ships bobbing out there.
You ever have Cavalier Guest cucumber sandwiches? Really good.
I've never had his cucumber sandwiches, actually.
He made a full, just because he's Justin, he made a full, everything you can imagine, the most amazing English tea for us for New Year's Eve. Just finger sandwiches, like everything you read about in The Hobbit, like boom, there it is. Set out on his meal. Anyway, Cavalier Guest for your catering needs. I'm going to refer to him by his Twitch name, Justin by his Twitch name, so that it's Twitchier. Okay.
Right, so Reginald is trying to ignore you and enjoy his lunch without some drunkard so-and-so giving him trouble.
Okay, I'm sitting there. Nursing my beer, just sort of staring into the water. I am going to try to look. Would this be deception or acting or whatever? I'm trying to look very pensive and kind of give a meaningful sigh and just sort of look down at the water as if searching for my soul in it somewhere. That'd be a charisma roll.
I'm sorry, I missed the question. I heard sitting, and then I was reading notes, and I missed your question. I'm sorry.
No. That's okay. Go back to your notes. The game. We'll put this game on hold.
What? I'm sorry. One more time, Rob. Just making sure I had all the information necessary for the session, and then totally, missed the session.
Completely. No, I understand. Things happen. You come into a game unprepared, and then you're just trying to sort of make it up as you go along. No. I mean, I get it. We can't always be prepared for the thing that happens every week at a set time.
Right. All right. I'll just go back to my notes then.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll think of something else about M80s.
I don't know if I'm bold enough to join the army. Litterbug. Okay. All right.
M80s, the most fun you can have with a number without subtracting 11 from it.
Alrighty, buddy. There we go. So you're... What, you wanted to make a charisma check to look at something about Reginald?
No. I'm just looking pensively into the water, that as if looking for my soul somewhere there in the dark depths, as if something is disturbing me and
Yes.
is taking me down.
Yes.
I give a bit of a sigh, close my eyes, as if in a bit of pain, an emotional pain so intense that I feel it on a physical level. Take it off. No. Go back to staring into the water. My hand clenches, relaxes, clenches a couple of times there at my side. Do we put that under deception? Do we?
Sure. I guess that's a deception roll. You're trying to deceive him into thinking you're having a deep inner moment when really you're just trying to fool him? You're not
Yeah.
actually having a deep moment here, remembering
Yeah.
Alexander?
And that seems like acting, and acting gives me a advantage.
Advantage when you're trying to
My
be somebody
deception.
who you're not?
Yeah. Take that. Videos that have claimed actor is like one of the worst feats.
Thank God for your advantage.
Yes.
Wow, those are not great rolls today.
But I mean, what reason does he have to be like, I wonder if this drunk is really just pretending to have things wrong in his life? I bet his life's going pretty well.
Yeah. So he makes no real looks at you or signs at you. He just kind of goes about his lunch for an hour or so before getting up, stretching it out, and heading back into the building.
Okay, well, if after 15 minutes or so, if he's not saying anything, so much for caring for the poor, he just wants to go around finding people. I'll say, what use are the gods? Adam. Service stare, but what use are the gods? To give you authority to go around finding people? On.
Oh, you say this while he's still there, before he leaves?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought you were saying this to yourself after he left.
No, after 15 minutes of him not trying to see what's troubling this poor person on the docks.
Okay, so you give your comments, and he'll sigh heavily and look over to you across that 10-foot gap and say, listen here, buddy. I don't want to hear one more word out of you about this boat on this dock or this fine. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself a disruptor of the peace. You're going to spend some time in the dungeons here. And as for your blasphemous and heretical speech about what use are the gods, well, I'll give you a warning on that one. But don't you go be slinging that sass around here. Not in front of me.
Well, then tell me what they're for, then.
They created the world. They created everything on it, and they control our fates and destinies. They are the very essence of our life.
Yeah, they control our fates and destinies. They give us this. They do these things to us.
Looks like you did what you're into yourself. Looks like you got yourself into your current drunken state of a mess. You can't blame the gods for being a drunk.
I look over at him as if just trying to control myself. I'm not the one who caused my daughter to drown. Don't you dare blame me for that.
Sometimes bad things happen to good people. You just gotta live with it and move forward.
And you said it's the gods that give these things to us.
Don't go try and blaming someone else for your own problems.
You said it. You said it was the gods. You said the gods give us our fates. Gods who decided that. It was the gods who took Laura from me.
Well, maybe if you had taught Laura how to swim, she wouldn't have drowned. Maybe you should have taken better care of your child and kept a closer eye on him.
I'm a sailor. I was taking care. I was doing my job. I was getting money. I got her a doll and I don't know, I give the name of some port or something. I saved up. For months, I didn't spend any money in the taverns or in the brothels the way the other sailors did. I was saving up. I got that doll for her and I came back. She drowned 3 days after I boarded ship. All that time she'd been dead. That's what the gods do with our fates.
You're misplacing your anger here, son. It's not... We all sometimes want someone to blame.
You said the gods control our fates. You're the one who said it.
We're still in charge of our lives. They'll give us fate. They'll pull the strings, but it's up to us to walk around and do the work. They can...
I was doing the work. I was trying to provide for her.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
I take another pull from my mug here. It's probably empty at this point, but I'll go ahead and pretend.
Hmm. What was your name, son?
Alexander.
I'm Reginald Silver. Cleric of a stair, he says, tapping his shield, the emblem of a stair. A blue triangle with golden rings on each of the corners.
You've got two names? What are you doing down here with two names?
Someone's got to clean up the docks from scum, smugglers, thieves, cutthroats, that sort of thing. Someone's got to keep the people safe.
Too bad you weren't around to keep my daughter safe, I guess. Boy, if you'd been there. Or do you just keep people from having a drink? Forget about things that have happened.
Don't drink so much. You'll forget everything else in life, too. If I had been there...
Maybe that's a point. Maybe that's a good idea.
Come now, you gotta move forward with your life. Otherwise, you might as well just drown yourself in the canals out here. Faster and less expensive than drowning yourself in that booze of yours.
But if you'd been there, you would have jumped in after her and swam out and saved her?
I didn't say all that. I don't know where she was.
Do you even swim?
He pointedly ignores the question.
So you would have been sitting on the side, helpless, going, "Oh, well, there's a drowning child. I guess I'll go."
Well, maybe you should have taught your daughter how to swim if you were worried about her drowning, he says, and kind of gets up in a huff. Clearly incensed, like you've hit a sore spot for him. And he kind of storms off in anger and frustration.
Okay. I'll wait about a minute after he's left. I'll take out the one coin, the one copper, play with it a little bit. People should definitely learn how to swim if they don't want to drown. Okay. What phase of the moon are we?
Excellent question. My D30. We are on the 19th day of the cycle, so we are 5 days after a new moon. So we are in a waning gibbon. Gibbous? A waning gibbous, not a waning gibbon. That would be a very different thing.
Are these just more dragon names, Neal?
No, a waxing. I'm sorry, a waxing gibbous. The waning is getting smaller.
So this dragon is expecting to get lucky.
Wait, a gibbous is between more than half but less than full. So what is the less than half? Waning moon? A waning crescent. Okay, it's a waxing crescent.
It's pessimist.
It's a waxing crescent, not a waxing gibbous. My mistake. It's been a while since I've thought in moon talk. So it's a growing moon, less than half full. 5 days after the new moon.
A whinging gibbon. Okay. So it's less than half full.
Less than half full. Slowly getting more and more full.
So it's pessimistic.
No, it's getting more full.
It's a pessimist moon. It's less than half full, but it's getting more full.
Yes.
Okay, so it's an optimist.
Yes.
Is it? So what day of the cycle is it?
5. 5 days after the new moon.
All right, so it's an optimist prime.
Yes, it's an Optimus Prime. That is the cycle of the moon right now.
Okay.
It's not a Decepticon yet. It's an Autobot.
Well, the Decepticon part of the cycle is after the full moon, right?
Right, it goes full, and then it becomes the Decepticon for the next 14 days. And my Transformer lore is actually really, really bad. I haven't...
You were a GoBots kid, weren't you, Neal?
I was neither.
I could tell just by looking at you. You were like GoBots, and you thought they were cool.
I've never even heard of GoBots.
GoBots toys.
What are GoBots?
They were like... You know how... Did you ever get like those transforming toys where like they barely changed and they still kind of look the same even after the transformation?
Mm-hmm.
And they were stupid things like a motor scooter that just transformed into more like a motor scooter.
Right.
Yeah, those were.
So GoBot's like the Transformers knockoff? Like the cheap Transformers knockoff? It sounds like it.
Like the low effort Transformers knockoff.
Wow.
You know, like when they do like a knockoff, but they like decide to make it focused on some kids that are friends with something.
And like the Star Wars prequels?
I don't know if I want to make that Vatican.
Okay.
Yippee!
Yeah. Let's forget that ever happened. That's a reason to drink.
Fucking midichlorians. Anyway.
Oh, we'll get to a murder today, I promise someone. Okay.
We haven't been drinking, I promise. I don't know what's going on.
It's literally just coffee. I mean, I know it's 4th of July, but it's only 12:30 here, so it's still just coffee.
Anyway, it's 11:30. I was like, crap, it's 12:30.
Mountain time.
All right, I got 30 minutes to take this guy out.
All right, Reginald Silver has left. Was there anything else you wanted to do this day?
Nope. I am just. You know what? I'm from this dock. I might as well start my examination. I am going to be looking over. Did he sit at the exact same place he did yesterday or the other day?
Yeah, there's a stool right here, and that seems to be his stool.
As if he was so married to order that he was entirely predictable.
The mantra of a stair is what was it? The best thing for people in life is to have a framework within which they can thrive. Structure and organization paves the way for greatness. Preservation of order is paramount to success.
I'm sure being utterly predictable is not going to come back to haunt him.
But imagine all the time he saves by having a set routine that he just follows all the time. He's going to be so good at that one thing he does.
You know what? You want to save time? You could save time by, after you do your laundry, you carefully take the socks out, match the right one to the right one, ball them up together so that each one has been carefully matched, and then carefully put them into your drawer, nice and organized, so that you always have a matching pair of socks.
Yeah.
Or you could just buy 20 pairs of the same goddamn exact socks and just throw them all in the drawer in any order. So at any point, you can just pull out 2 socks and you know they fucking match.
I think we know which method you follow.
God damn, we really need to kill somebody. I'm getting there.
Right.
I'm getting there. I'm while I'm sitting here at the end of this dock, I am looking over at that dock.
Yes.
And I'm examining, are things, what are these planks like? How are they secured? Are they sort of like bound together with ropes? Are they nailed?
It looks like the boards are nailed into the understructure. The docks have all been here for a while, so they're not particularly new at all. That said, they've been here for a while and they're still standing, so they've got some structural integrity to them. And clearly the cleric in his heavy armor sits there all the time, and everything seems fairly solid. All just hammered together.
All right. So I'm just getting familiar with it, the general structure. I'm going to be taking a closer look tonight. All right. So after I feel like I've got structure down here, as best I can from this place, I am going to go back up to my room at the inn,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to take out some of the paper I had and some of the ink.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to draw here. I am going to sign it 3 times. I'm going to roll it up, tuck it inside my shirt.
What's it a picture of?
You'll find out if it becomes relevant.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that I can do that fairly well with the high dex.
Sure, you can draw. I mean, I don't know how good of a picture drawer you are, but you have paper and pen, so if it sucks the first time, you can try a second and a third.
And I'll head back down to the mermaid's kiss.
That same day?
Yeah, I gotta spend my time until it's night.
Okay. Anything in particular you want to do down there?
I'll just have a drink.
Sure. You're having a drink, and that same guy from this morning comes up to you, this time with another person, a young woman. And he says, This here is the fellow I was telling you about. You tell him about Scoria. And the young woman goes, Mister, is it true that you don't believe in dragons?
Yeah, I don't believe in dragons. Why do you?
Yes. A dragon burned my village down. I'm from Mistria, the next kingdom over across the canal.
You saw this dragon come down and burn your village?
Well, I was out of town at the time.
Oh.
Otherwise, I would be dead in the village, just like everyone else in my family.
Oh, so the dragon burned the village and killed everyone?
Yes, they're all dead. My whole family, the whole village, gone.
That's horrible. How do you know it was a dragon and not a band of marauders?
The next village over said that they saw the dragon. They saw it come and scorch everything down.
Oh. And you have good relations with that village? You never have conflicts over water rights or...
Are you trying to imply that my entire village was slaughtered by a neighboring village and they lied and made up a dragon to cover it? The same dragon? They made up the same dragon that's been ruling my entire kingdom for the last few hundred years?
The dragon rules your kingdom?
We didn't elect it, but yes.
And you've seen this dragon?
Not up close, but from a distance, I've seen it flying in the sky, yes.
Oh. What does it look like when it's up flying in the sky?
A large, red, scaly dragon. It's a dragon! How do you live in this world?
So you're looking up and you see in the distance, a red shape in the sky, and you're like, that's definitely not a cardinal. No way that could be a cardinal. It must be a dragon.
My whole family was murdered by a dragon.
I'm sorry your family was murdered. That's horrible that your family was murdered. I just think it's kind of interesting that there were no witnesses except other people who said that, oh yeah, it wasn't us. It was a dragon. A dragon did it. It just seems to me like any time there's...
She makes a roll to hit you in the face, and it definitely beats your 14 AC and just slaps you across the face, stomps her heel on the ground, and turns and walks out. And the guy goes, Dude!
Look, I'm just saying, I get really tired every time someone is trying to cover up a crime. They're just it was 2 dragons came in and mugged me and stole the till.
Dude.
And that's why the money's gone. And it's always 2 generic dragons or a generic dragon or something, and people blame it on. And then it turns out they just made the whole thing up.
Dude. Come on, man. Her whole family.
I know, that's horrible what the village did to them.
You can't... You've really never heard about Mistria being overrun by a dragon.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I've also heard the story of the three goblins and the midwife, and I don't
All
believe
right, that's
that
it.
happened.
And he walks out.
I said, no, you know what? I said, I need proof. Look, I've got proof. And I pull out the picture and I show it to him. And it's a signed picture of the three-headed troll. I said, I've got proof. Where's your proof? Where's your physical evidence?
He's got no reply. He leaves. He's gone. Frustrated and angry at you. And I think we're just gonna skip to the next day, unless there's something you really want to do that night. Okay, so the night.
That's why I wanted to know that it was an Optimus Prime moon.
God, okay, that's an Optimus Prime moon.
All right, so once it gets late, and I think the moon is at its highest. Actually, not necessarily at its highest. I'm gonna go out and pay attention to where it is in the sky and its path and the best angle that it seems to be getting towards for its light to shine down under the dock instead of just being overhead and putting the dock in shadow.
All right, so
I guess when the moon is low on the horizon, but still. Sure,
we're here on the docks down in High Castle. So this kind of like section right here. I'm sorry, back in here. Now, moon's gonna pass mostly overhead. It's not gonna be too far in the south. So I don't think you're actually gonna get a very good like horizontal moon since we're in the canals of Arcadia, and they're about 180, 200 feet tall, sort of things. So we're not going to get like, you know, the moon down on the sea shining across and like illuminating horizontally. We're going to get some pretty steep angles here.
Okay. What I was hoping for, because I knew it was going to be perfect, but I was figuring that also light might reflect off the surface of the water, hopefully a bit.
Probably a little bit.
All right, so I am, and if worse comes to worse, I'm going to bring one of those candles that I bought before and tinder, and I am going to, in the dark, well, how late is it when I feel like I've got the best light I'm going to get?
Probably not that late. It's probably around midnight, maybe a little bit before.
All right, well, that's good enough. So I am going to sneak down to the docks. I think I can just go kind of the way I did before. It's probably best. Pretty secluded. And I'm going to sneak my way under the house, which seems to extend over the water. Under the docks, I will just have to get wet here. I'm going to keep the candle I'll have unlit in my mouth. I'll put the tinder. I'll just, I guess, get a scarf tied around my head and tuck the tinder up into there. Flint and steel, keep that dry. And I'm going to swim and move around under the house and under the dock as best I can and examine the structure under where the paladin always sits.
So how do you get down into the water?
Right over the place where I jumped before to get onto that dock.
Yeah, so you just like lower yourself down bit by bit into the water?
Yeah, so I'm going to scramble down, and then I'm guessing there's pylons that hold up to the tea shop, right?
Yeah. You'll actually notice that the pylons here don't extend super far down into the water. They're more like large floats. They just kind of like bob in the water, so the pylon only really goes down to the buoy floaty thingy below. You also have your gloves of swimming and climbing.
Interesting. I got those last episode.
Yeah. So that'll give you advantage on any swimming checks. Now, you're trying to be quiet about this, right? You're trying not to attract any attention to yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, I can move as slowly as I need to, and it's dark.
Sure.
And I've got the pylons and whatever structure there to hold on to. I don't imagine this stuff.
Right. Can you give me a athletics check for your swimming at advantage, of course? Just to see if there's anything that's gonna crop up, you know. Perfect. That's fine. So you can easily get from one pylon to the other and swim around until you can get underneath this one, and take a look at it.
All right. So I want to start examining the structure underneath. You know, I look over. I might climb up a bit on top of the dock. You know, but to get a good sense of, okay, he sits there on that. He's sitting on a box or a barrel, or is there a chair?
Stool.
Or
a three-legged stool.
Okay. I'm looking at that exact spot, and I'm looking around under the dock at the structure, how everything is held together here. And I'm examining this in, you know, is it the thieves' tools proficiency that I use to disarm traps? Or what is that?
Yeah, I would say thieves' tools would be used to disarm traps, but this isn't so much disarming a trap, is it?
Well, I was thinking this is like creating a trap.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to use the same sort of skills of figuring out how a mechanism works, but I'm trying to figure out how could I create a mechanism, or how could I, like, what would I have to change by how much? What things could I lower? So my thinking is, have you ever had those, and maybe even run into this in life, where you have, say, a board here, and it's resting almost like a pivot there. You know, maybe it's supported at these two places. So you're walking along totally secure. The board feels secure, and then you step past the pivot point. Oh no!
Right.
So I'm looking to see if there's anything that could be arranged, something like that, if I were to file down some nails so they broke.
Well, why don't you give me a perception check at disadvantage, because it is dark. I mean, it's not even quite a half moon even. You've got the best lighting you're gonna get, but it's still gonna be difficult. But give me a perception check.
Can I get rid of the disadvantage if I light a candle and cup it? And what I'm going to do for that, because obviously that makes it a lot harder. Well, I mean, I
guess I don't know how you're going to light a candle with two hands, right? You don't have like a butane lighter. You're going to have to create like sparks with flint and steel or something, right?
I can, well, yeah. So what I was thinking is that's going to be kind of awkward since, actually I've got freaking gloves of swimming, but I guess that takes my hands. I was going to say a good water polo goalie.
You could,
which I might be the equivalent of with gloves of swimming, but is it only like really helping the swimming and not?
It's only helping with the swimming with the hands. But even if you were to tread water with just your feet, how are you going to hold a candle with one hand and create fire with the second hand? Doesn't it take two hands to create sparks?
I was going to hold the candle in my mouth. Like that. And I was thinking that maybe what I'll do here is like wrap my legs around one of the pylons to hold myself. It's to be a little steadier than trying to tread water.
Okay, you might be able to do such a thing. I'm going to ask for another swimming check to light the candle. Failure means you can't do it, or you drop one of the ingredients or something that's so important.
All right, well, let's light this candle.
All right, you manage to get one leg wrapped around the pylon, the other leg to steady yourself, and and you get the candle going.
And I will cut my hand to block the light from going too far. I mean, it's a candle under a dock, unless someone happens to be on the dock.
Or out
I
in
don't know.
the water, out in one of the ships in the dock, walking around.
Yeah,
Looking-
people don't really go sailing at night.
No, but there's still ships that are moored out there, and probably sailors that might be sleeping on them. Possible.
But from a distance, they know whether the light is from under the dock or in one of the houses.
I think that's
Dark.
pretty... Yeah, it's dark, which makes it easier to spot where the light's coming from. Right?
Well, they're just seeing there's some light in that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if that becomes if it comes up.
In all those shadows. Okay. Anyway, so I'm under the dock, try to protect the light. Can I just do a normal perception check now?
Sure. With the candle, you can just do a regular perception check. Very nice. You go ahead and you can examine the underside, docks and everything. Sure enough, there are some boards here that are not in that great of condition. There's no, like, pivot point where something's just gonna twist, but there are some boards that look like they are rotting a little. Maybe the right application, the right file in one place or another might cause the boards to break in the middle.
Well, I don't want any maybes. I want to make this an absolute as much as I can. So what I want to... I'm looking this over, like, what kind of roll could I make to sort of find a good, the best spot to do this successfully, not just have it, like, fail because of bad luck or something.
Well, you tell me. What?
That's why I was thinking thieves' tools, if that's what's used to disarm traps. It seems like that would make sense for creating traps. But
Okay.
that's, I mean, I know it's not perfect, but that's the closest thing I can think is 5e isn't as super descriptive of skills in the same way that other editions.
Yeah, it's a lot.
For better or worse.
Right, it's a lot broader. Go ahead, yeah, make me a thieves' tools check. See if you can disable the docks somehow. Oh, beautiful.
All right, so if there's a board that's, I'm looking for boards that are under the stool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I want to weaken them, file out nails. If I feel that, like, the whole thing is about to collapse, then I will just take, like, a little bit of, maybe a little bit of nail that I've filed off and just sort of stick it in so it's just barely holding up the board. But when a 180-pound man in another 50 pounds of armor steps on it.
Right. So the red lines that I've drawn are the boards that are underneath this dock here, that the boards above it that form the walkway are attached to. They're about 10 feet apart and run parallel to each other. There's no center support beam that runs down the middle of this thing at all. So you can go ahead and do as you say and file it down. Are you filing down one of these horizontal boards, do you think? Or are you filing down like this board right here that connects the pylon to the tea shop?
All right, so let me zoom in for my own purposes a bit so I can see better. So it looks like the boards are probably precisely the way I would like them with this. Is this over here the stool?
Yes, that is the stool.
Okay. So he's going to come down those stairs, which are probably pretty secured, and then step onto these boards as he's going to his stool.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to, with this red beam that goes across. I imagine it's secured to this piling over here.
Mm-hmm.
So if I weaken it there and there, it can collapse, and this entire spot will go down.
Yeah, this entire section right here. I don't know about these stairs. These stairs might be affixed in other ways.
Yeah, I'm imagining that the stairs are probably set to the sides building, or just I was just imagining. I guess I don't have no reason to definitely do that.
But that would definitely weaken this section, which, if it fell, would toss him right into the water.
And I am going to. So can I rig this so that the board at these 2 points is only very weakly secured, that when you add 250 pounds up on top,
with a 20 on a thieves tools, you can definitely weaken those boards. The real trick for you is to weaken them in a way that doesn't look like someone just took a saw to it and weakened it. You want to.
That's why I was trying to file nails, because that will be tougher to see. Like, oh, I guess the nail broke. I imagine that is this salt water?
Yes. Actually, this is brackish water. It's a mixture.
That's fine, because anything metal is, especially in a non-chrome plated medieval nail here, is going to get rusty.
Yep.
Just a crappy iron nail, and it'll be like, oh yeah, look, the nail was rusty.
Yep. All right. So you file it down. You get it.
So I'm kind of like, until I can feel like, okay, just even a little bit of pressure, this thing is getting ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you get it all set up and ready.
All right. And be interesting. Oh, cool! It moves around. I ride the boat to freedom. To a new day, a new life. Come, Sophie. A new world awaits. So, this is so tempting. Where I want to be able to see this, really, just to watch him go down, but obviously I got to make sure that it works.
Mm-hmm.
So where can I be that is so far away that I don't attract, like, oh, he was suspiciously close? But yet I can see what happened. Maybe what is this building here? Is it another, like, there's no reason I would be sitting on the dock because that building.
Let's see. That is building number 9. That is the dock workers' dormitory. So that's kind of a cheap housing for the people who work down here on the docks.
All right. I wonder if that's, I guess I can find out tomorrow morning if that's something that I could conceivably just come through and hang out on this dock. If not, then I can always sit on the end of this dock for more of my day drinking. Not as, which is still fairly far away, but at least it goes down or not. And so over there, while I'm underneath, I want to make sure there's no really obvious things that the person falling could grab for or themselves with.
Just the floating pylons. Or the floating buoys that the pylons are attached to. But if you fall below that, and those got muscles on the outsides and algae and kelp and moss growing on them, they're not particularly easy to catch. If you've ever seen the pylons under a pier or an actual dock, they're quite rough. But But then, if they don't go all the way down, if they just go a few feet under the water as a flotation device, I think it'd be pretty easy to miss those things.
Okay.
Pretty difficult to catch on to them. Might be a better way of phrasing it.
I think maybe, God, this is a tough one. Is it better to be far away or closer to assist if it doesn't die quite so quickly? See, this would depend on the how well this works would depend on if it was like 15 minutes into the movie or 15 minutes into the movie, it would work to show how skillful the assassin is. At the end of the movie, we need the dramatic climax. So, how much activity is there on these docks that I've seen?
During the day or at night?
During the day.
They're fairly busy. Oh, wait, did you mean this specific dock right here?
Yeah,
Or...
these docks. Because since access to them is fairly limited.
Right, so this one is pretty quiet. You've only really ever checked it out during lunchtime when you've seen Reginald Silver come over here. And he's only ever been the one out here at lunch. You couldn't say about the morning or evening. You've never actually seen anyone hanging out on this dock. It's been empty every time. The rest of the docks, further to the either direction, are fairly busy. They're a little bit more... they're not so much like sit and look out at the world because it's a dock attached to my house. They're more of like, we're shipping... Something is landing here, tying up, and offloading supplies. This is one of the few sort of, I don't quite want to call it residential, but residential docks. This is housing for soldiers. This is housing for dock workers. This is sort of just like attached to a... This one might be used for bringing supplies in. This is a bit of a warehouse.
All right. So these gloves of swimming give me advantage on rolls, or how do they work?
Yes, the gloves will give you advantage on swimming checks.
All right. And I'm assuming, like, just normal swimming, just not a roll, but doing something a little bit extraordinary probably is a roll.
Yeah.
How far underwater? Oh, does it increase my swim speed or anything?
No. Maybe?
Okay.
Let me double check. FG. Gloves of swimming. Your swimming doesn't cost you extra movement. So instead of swimming being half movement, it's full movement. So yeah, you can swim faster.
All right. Perfect. And so how far could I swim underwater? With,
how far do you need to swim underwater?
Yeah,
no,
so
it's
I'm
actually
asking
been
for one check or without making a check.
Pretty far, I suppose. But it's been more than an hour. Why don't we take a break here and come back on the other side of our break with a little bit more assassin. See you guys soon.
All righty.